أهلا وسهلا. I know that you speak in best in English, but I want to speak with Arabic with you.
لا علمني عربي بقى.
علمك عربي. أهلا وسهلا دكتورة حنان. دكتورة حنان طبعا زمان معنا على بتتعامل معنا بتعمل محاضرات وبتعمل محاضرات بس مش معنا وبس مع العالم كله لأنها هي عبارة عن متحدث عالمي.
شكرا.
متحدث على مستوى بروفيشنال على مستوى عالمي. فحابين احنا ندعيها اليوم على اساس انها تحكي لنا كل التجربه تبعتها بالديجيتال وكل التجربه تبعتها مش بالديجيتال بس وكل التجارب اللي عملتها في حياتها. لان عندنا الصراحه عندنا الاودينس بيحبها كثير ومش الاودينس بس واحنا بنحبها وكل العالم بيحبها لانك انت انسانه رائعه. فتفضلي خبرينا بالاكسبيرينس تبعك بالتجربه تبعتك وشو حابه تضيف لمعلوماتنا وتضيف للتجربه تبعتنا. شو الحاجات اللي بتواجهك صعبه، شو الحاجات السهله، شو الحاجات اللي ممكن نعملها ونغيرها في التسويق الرقمي في كل شيء ديجيتال بالنسبه للطب وبالنسبه للصيدله بخاصه. فعشان هيك منك كلمه واحنا كل الاودينس لك.
Thank you. شكرا يا دكتور ربنا يخليك. Introduction يعني is so much and I hope I fill this huge ladder that you've created for me. Yes, my name is Dr. Hanan Selim. I've been fortunate to share a lot of my experience through big stages across the world. I'm actually an international speaker, multi-award winning author of my book Second Chances, and I'm actually recognized by global gurus as the most influential thought leader in health and well-being. And that's a big mouthful because for us to accomplish that level, I think it's a lot of failures before success, right? And as we've seen, we're going to talk about something very close to my heart, something that's very important, and I think it's very, very crucial. And I'm so happy that Pharma Global has created this Digital Pharma because it's no longer, we're looking at 5-7 years, which is what we originally thought would take us to get to having complete digitalization success in pharma. But the momentum has actually now here today and now, which is a part of the pandemic and part of a lot of changes that kind of shifted suddenly, and we had to be flexible and agile, and pharma is no different. And I believe that the momentum that the digitalization, that everything is going on, we should also try to understand what are the crucial areas that we need to actually focus on in order to not just catch up, but be the leaders in this digitalization success. And pharma, of course, is no different, and we need to reevaluate the systems, the processes, and the protocols that we've been using previously, and how we can then make it more digital success and more efficient and effective, because that's at the end of the day what we're looking for with digitalization success. So I already made the introduction and everybody knows who I am. So let's get right into it because we do have a lot to cover. So the main thing really what I want to discuss today is the most important steps on the road, because it is a journey, it is a road to digital success in the pharma industry, so that pharmaceutical companies can play the central role in what we call digital revitalization of the healthcare system. Not because we need to implement this, but it's actually part of the healthcare system, complete ecosystem, if we want to call it. And of course, the patient, as we all know, is at that center of that ecosystem. So what they're looking for, and as we'll go through the 4 areas, is that this patient, advanced, if you will, or the evolved consumer, if you will, if we're talking in a retail sense, is more educated, more aware, more needing more to be given in their patient journey. So of course technology will actually be a big part of it, And pharmaceutical companies are running hard to keep pace with changes brought about by digital technology, not because they don't have the resources or the time or they don't want to put the effort, is that the technology transformation is going really, really fast. And I would call it, instead of going linear, I think it's going exponential. And what I mean by that is that it used to take us to get from point A to point B certain number of steps, like 1, 2, 3, right? But with exponential growth now with technology, it takes us the same, less time to get from point A to point B in actually one step. So that's how fast technology and the transformation is happening. So this, we can see it through mobile communication. I think we're on, what, iPhone 12 or 11? We could see it in the cloud, advancement. You don't need to store anything on your computers anymore. You could see it in the advanced analytics, the Internet of Things, among the innovations that are starting to transform the healthcare industry in the ways they have already transformed in the media and the retail and, of course, the banking industries. So today I want to talk about the 4 areas of pharma digital opportunity, and it is an opportunity, and there is a big window of opportunity for digitalization in the pharma industry. And these 4 areas where digital developments will drive value not only for the pharma companies, but also building on what we see as the key components in digital success. So the ability to deliver more personalized patient care, engage more fully with the patients and the physicians, using the data, of course, is crucial in any business, and digitalization is no different, to drive superior insight and decision-making to transform business processes to provide real-time responsiveness. So pharma industries are more moving towards what we call the matrix. I love this movie. I don't know if anyone's familiar with the movie The Matrix, but you see the shooting bullets. There's so many things happening at the same time, and that's what we find in technology. So we need to create the systems, the transformation happening with all of these things that we want to talk about today into consideration. So we're going to be discussing it one by one, but I just wanted to bring your awareness that all these things are actually interrelated and coming at you all at once, and we need to consider them while we're thinking about this digital transformation in the pharma industry. So of course, the first one I kind of hinted at when we started, which is the personalized care. We need to create the bells and the whistles, if you will, in the sensors and digital services for tailored 24/7 treatment. We need to actually have fuller engagement, meaning the Omni-Channel conversations with physicians and patients. Of course, these are major stakeholders in the pharmaceutical ecosystem. The data-driven insight, I'm sure being in the pharma industry, we know the value of the data and the statistics and the numbers to create the advanced analytics to increase the pipeline and, of course, the retail or commercial value. And, of course, we need real-time responsiveness, automated processes to improve the cost, reactions, and, of course, the agility of moving forward to digital success. So there's one interesting huge research that's been done by McKinsey and Company, and they're saying within 5 to 7 years, a significant proportion of the pharmaceutical portfolio will create value through more than just drugs. And I guess, you know, we've hinted at it that the patient, the evolved patient and the evolved consumer now is more aware, and they're more driven to take care of their own health, have more control over their own health. There's joining communities. They're looking at getting the medical reports online, actually having conversations through Zoom and all these different technologies. Now, of course, we have the iPhone, the iWatches, and of course a lot of the digital apps that's available to patients that literally now in the US anyway has these amazing apps and technology to give blood pressure or, you know, scans that they could give to their doctors online without actually visiting. And of course, we always have to focus on these results and outcomes, because that's what the government now and of course third-party insurance are looking for. They're looking for companies who actually not only give the drugs, but they're actually looking that the drugs are actually effective. So how we're going to do that is if we don't have the measuring tools, the apps, if you will, the digital edge, if you will, to compete and be able to prove that our drugs are working to get the results for the patients. So this is actually one of the critical things in moving forward with digital success. The second thing I want to talk about is fuller engagement, omni-channel conversations with physicians and patients. Now, yes, everybody's on social media, everybody's on Facebook, everybody's on, getting the community, being part of if a diabetes patient, for example, you'll have a diabetes community, for example. They're going to go in and they're going to get the best ideas, the best information. If not, it's not the best health way or healthcare system, but they're actually, that's the way the omni-channel, the information, we're so overloaded with information on different digital apps and different digital communities. So it's very important, very critical to be part of that community, to be able to position our the medications, the statistics, the results, the outcomes, to assure patients that yes, you will be able to use our medications and actually be part of the whole journey. So patients are now more looking for the hand-holding, if you will, not just the drugs, not just the information, but be able to have it customized. Is this going to actually working for me? Is this going to be on a personal, customized, engaged level? So we need to be aware that now with all this data, with all this information, we not only need to be part of that online presence, if you will, but we need to be everywhere on what we call the omni-channel conversations that actually physicians are also looking at, and we need to be present during that conversation. So technology transformation, patients are already starting to use patient portals for their medical records, to communicate with their physicians, and to use apps to fill prescriptions even. Now we have online prescription filling, delivery, online patient communities to speak to other patients with the same disease that I mentioned earlier with the example of the diabetes. We're also looking at data-driven insight, advanced analytics to increase the pipeline and commercial value. So this one is very important because, of course, in the pharma industry, we're very familiar with that. We know the value of data and the wealth of data. So usually this information was actually locked away in different technical organizations, silos, and some are already linking and mining their data sets to improve their pipelines, products, and strategies. But there remains a huge opportunity to create further value for data and analytics using what we call internal and external data sources to drive superior results. We could use it just as examples in R&D, digital discovery, and the testing of molecules with advanced modeling and simulation techniques will be now in the future, or even in some places commonplace. Marketing and sales, of course, forces will deploy advanced analytics to understand prescribing behavior and potential patient profiles, enabling more precise targeting of providers and increasing the numbers, of course, of prescriptions filled. The pharma companies and other healthcare players link and analyze data from insurance claims, clinics, laboratories, sensors, apps, social media, and of course, more in order to generate real-world evidence about a drug's efficacy, guiding reimbursement, and of course, clinical practices. So there's a huge opportunity for the pharma companies to create this digital success using data, of course. And of course, there's always real-time responsiveness. Now, with technology comes impatience, right? I think the last I heard was everybody has the attention span of a peanut, which is very, very little. So, real-time responsiveness, being able to get the information as fast as possible, as correct as possible to the patients and physicians alike, all the stakeholders, if you will, with, of course, the patient being the center of our focus. So automated processes to improve cost, reactions, and agility. Like we mentioned earlier, we have to show not only giving the drugs or pushing the drugs or having the physicians prescribe the drugs, but we have to also position our drugs to be shown that it actually creates the outcomes which would actually affect the cost and as well the patient using the medication. Adherence, if you will. So in pharmaceuticals, employee onboarding as well can be used in digitalization, sales, operations, planning, launch and monitoring and marketing content approval would especially benefit from streamlined automated workflows and increased transparency. And just like the previous speaker, Dr. Marwa, she said, Dubai is already wanting to go paperless, right? So they're very, very much, as well as the first world countries, are looking to go paperless, have everything mainstreamed, online, automated, and of course increase transparency that would allow patients and physicians alike to feel comfortable using the medication, and of course having that patient journey to increase adherence and of course the outcomes for the patient. So anyway, we have outlined these important 4 areas in which we believe digital will drive the most value for pharma companies. The areas leverage digital innovation to make products and services more personalized, physicians and patients, of course, more engaged, decisions and product evidence more data-driven, of course, and business processes more immediate. Like I said, we're on a digital pathway. Everybody wants to push a button, have the information, make the decision, and have the control to get the value and make it feel like this is exactly what the results they're looking for. So to capture this value, each company will need to consider how its businesses are set to be affected by this digital changes underway, and then chart its own course accordingly. So what I'm trying to say here is that these are critical areas. This is just a 30,000-foot view, but that you should consider. But of course, when you customize all these areas for your niche or for your products, for your company, of course, this has to be done accordingly. A better understanding of what digital success looks like will help companies get to their destination, improved innovation, of course, the commercial models and profit, and for the pharma companies, and better care, and as the center of all these stakeholders for the patients as well. Thank you so much. Thank you, Pharma Global, for having me today. Really appreciate it, and open for questions.
Thank you, dear Dr. Hanan. This was super amazing presentation from your side, and we are so appreciate you are here with us today. And yeah, we have one question from the chat, and it is divided to Omni-Channel you just spoke about, and our participant is asking, so when speaking about direct communication between pharma companies to doctors, when it goes about Omni-Channels and about medical promotions, so what is, to your opinion, is mostly used currently among Omni-Channels instruments, and can you predict the future? So maybe within 5 years, what will be used commonly, and if we are about to move forward to this digitalization, or it happens not as quick as, for example, in other regions like in the United States or Europe, or in other regions of Earth?
So I love this quote. Someone mentioned that actually in 5 years there are going to be jobs and careers that don't even exist, that it's not even happening right now. So this is actually how technology and transformation is going so fast, so quickly. There's, TikTok that everybody thought like was not going to be, as a teenager thing. Now businesses are looking at it as to position themselves to that target audience. So to actually predict what the best channel or omni-channel to actually focus on would be not worth your time, because what I mentioned, in the future there are things that will be happening, and careers even, and opportunities that don't exist right now. So you need to always be on the edge, be on the information where certain things in your niche, in your particular audience, if you will, and you want to be able to position yourself directly in face with that audience, because where the audience or the patients are, where the physicians will be as well, right? So you want to be able to understand at with the end in mind, right? Who are your patients that you're serving? What is the community that you're serving? And of course, you will find that respective doctors and physicians that would be able to see that outcomes that they're looking for their patients as well.
And when it goes about using these omni-channel instruments, an example, social media marketing, and this is a question from my side, to be honest. I'm really curious about your opinion on this field. Like, you know, we understand that the Society of Physicians, of doctors, and all healthcare professionals, we are like pretty traditional, yes. You know, and personally I do not know anyone from my colleagues or from people from the society who is using TikTok yet. Yeah. So maybe it will happen within some time, but yeah. Maybe you can give us advice to our participants about which specialties of physicians is better to be engaged with social media marketing, and which can be covered a little bit later, because, you know, maybe there are not so many professionals in this specialty. Yeah. So tell us your point of view, please.
So my advice is, of course, if you don't have any social media presence, you want to start with at least one and move from there. You want to see where, for example, if teenagers is your target audience for asthma medication or something like that, of course you want to have TikTok as one of the channels that you want to have presence on. Now, if you have a diabetes patient, then of course this is a bigger range from the age groups. Then of course Facebook would be ideal where to start. So you want to understand who your patients are, what your medication or your drug is actually targeting, what community, what age group, because of course Facebook has all those amazing statistics and tools to actually fine-tune down to your exact patient, what they look like, what they're looking for, their emotions, how they feel, where they are in their medical journey, and of course fine-tune that and be able to position yourself in your communication, in your content. And it's not about, see, social media is, a lot of people think it's all about selling. There's no sales happening on social media, so just everybody knows. There's actually creating rapport, creating positioning, there's the branding that's always happening on social media. And then when you get the like, trust, and want to use those products and services, that's the next level, where now the patient goes out and looks at your website, looks at your you know, statistics or your pamphlet on the medication and so forth, and communicate it with their physician, right? Because now they have the data, they're educated, they feel this resonates with them, and what the values, the principles, right? We all hear about mission and vision of the companies. So make sure that your mission and vision and your principles and your values actually correlate with the patients, not yours, right? Because a lot of companies think mission and vision is what they see, right? But you have to also consider who your patient, who your target, who your drug will actually help, how they feel, how they are going through this medical journey, and be able to communicate that same language. So, because at the end of the day, as humans, we all want to be understood, right? And for you, that's very powerful for patients as well, to understand what they're going through, how they're feeling, and how you could actually position that journey for them to get the relief they're looking for, as well as the results and outcomes in their lab results and all the other diagnostic tools that we use in mainstream medical technology. Yeah. Oh,
wow. Thank you, Dr. Hanan.
Thank you.
And you know, your answers and your presentation made a great impact to our audience, and we have so many questions in chat right now. And you know, this is one of my favorite questions, and I was about to ask it from my behalf, but because this question appeared in our chat, so I will ask you about this from the side of our audience.
Sure.
And this is a pretty tricky question, I would say. And in our Digital Pharma conference, which we're holding regularly, like twice a year in Russia and CIS countries, this question appears super regularly. So this is something that is really in agenda for people who are doing market access.
Okay.
So sorry for this long preamble,
No,
but
I love it. I love it.
I'm
glad I could give value.
but the question is about medical representatives, and like. Our market is super traditional, and we are saying that it's all about connections, and it's all about relationship that medical representative can establish with a physician, for example, to make the prescription. And is there any chance to switch from the instrument of medical representatives into digital instruments, like something from the side of Omni-Channel? And if this can happen, when it will happen?
Yeah, so this is a very good question, like you said. So I cannot deny the human interaction, right? I cannot deny that, of course, the first and foremost is the human interaction, the human understanding, the communication, I think, is ideal from, you know, going physically to the traditional way, visiting the doctors, understanding their needs and everything. Now, that process in of itself, whatever you're doing right now, you need to take that and put it on paper or put it on a sheet or Excel sheet. Just because we do many things throughout the day unconsciously, right? We do it so well, it comes to us so easily, so we don't, you know, second guess it like, oh, okay, going from point A to point D, sometimes driving the car, right? I could relate to that, right? We don't remember how we got there. We think we, you know, the car drove us there, right? Because it's so automatic that you just, you know, go with the flow and do it. But what I recommend for this medical reps, and I think this is ideal to switch to a digital information process, is that you take what you're doing physically with the interaction, the processes, and then you start applying it and placing it on a digital format so you don't skip a beat. And you could actually see where that exact human interaction is required, and that you do not change. You keep that there. See, what Patillo's law is, 20% of our activities gives us 80% of the results. So a lot of people think that we have to do 80% of the work to get 80% of the results, which is untrue. It's a scientific, shown old age statistics that show you don't need to do everything to get 80% of the results. You just have to focus on the 20% that's actually getting you 80%. Any business knows this. 20% of the business's activities will get that 80% of the profits for that business. And the same thing with us as human beings. Whatever you're doing, 20% that's getting you the results is what you should focus on. Automate that, and then be able to add the icing on the cake, the cherry on the top, with that human connection that we all need to actually have part of our process.
Super, super. And one more question.
Sure.
Went about the results. And over here, I would like to speak with you about one case. And this goes from my background, from my experience in CIS countries. And the question from one of our attendants was about if the same result can be achieved when it goes about switching from the medical representatives into digital instruments. And I would like to place on this table one really interesting case.
Sure.
There is one pharmaceutical company in Russia that has around 250 brands in its portfolio, and they're covering 65,000 of pharmacies and hospitals in territories of Russia with the help of 20, I'm not mistaken, 20 medical representatives.
Yes.
And another case, over here in the UAE, there is a company who's holding 40 brands, and they're covering 3,000 of healthcare retail points with the help of 60 medical representatives.
Yep.
So as you see, there's like a huge gap between the regions, and we have so many things to achieve right now over here. And what's your vision? How this can be achieved? And do we really need to move that fast and to go over there? Because our market is different. We are about humans, and we are about all the personal relationship. Tell us your opinion, please.
Yeah, this is exactly the point. This is a perfect example, what you just mentioned about the 20%, 80% outcome. So instead of diluting your efforts and making and costs as well, because the more representatives you have, the more insurance and the more visa and everything that goes along with it. So of course cost plays a huge part of it. So if automation and creating that process so that you educate your medical reps and then be able to use these resources to its optimal level. I think what we do here is that we spoon feed our medical reps, right? We want them to only be focused on one product, one drug, one region, right? But if you actually understand what the medical reps' weaknesses are and strengths that you could leverage on in that particular product or in that particular community, that would be able to make them more efficient. I'm not talking where you run them, working 12 hours a day or 14 hours a day. That's not it. I think the more efficient, the more acute and resources that this particular medical rep, why not optimize it? Why not give them the resources that they need, the vehicles, if you will, to get the job done in the most efficient, less time. So I think looking at our resources, including medical reps, is very important, and be able to not just hire anybody, Tom, Dick, and Harry, right? We need to go and be able to, because look, at the end of the day, this medical rep will be more engaged, happier in their job, because it's not about just the end of the month getting the check. It's about the value, the feeling, they achieved something, right? That's very important. Excellence for a lot of the medical reps as well. The value that they're adding to the company. And of course, you want to take care of these medical reps. You don't want a lot of turnover, get more people, wasting more time, and just giving them everything or nothing, or focus on the one thing, and then that dilutes your resources. So it's very important that we look at medical reps, we understand what they bring to the table and what you need them as a resource and how you could optimize that resource. I think that's going to work on many levels. And of course, automation, like we talked about digital success, you want to create templates, you want to create trainings. So especially if that particular medical rep is going to be doing what is best and what we've learned through statistics and numbers of what is the optimal processes to get the results, you want to be able to train them on that, as well as bringing their resource and their experience and merge the two to make it optimal. So it's very important that not only it's a takes two to tango, if you will, from the expression in the U.S. So not only do we expect the medical rep to do all they can, but we need also to meet them halfway to support them with what they need, as well as resources, training, and everything else that goes along with it.
Okay. What I can see from the chat right now, we have raised a really deep question, because so many questions goes over here. And one of the questions to you goes about medical startups. And actually, here is not specified what sort of medical startups is mentioned, is like Mena over here. Like if it's going to be like the medical startup, like medicines or medical devices, or whatever, or maybe this is a kind of tech solution, but whatever, let's speak generally. So what would you recommend when it goes about promotions, either to use for this sort of project, the digital promotional instruments, or like our traditional, our favorite face-to-face medical representatives?
Yeah. Well, I think we answered that with the taking the processes that you're already doing on a physical level and trying to transform that into automation, digitalization process. But of course, we need to look at which area is critical in that face-to-face, or if, you know, instead of, for example, visiting the doctor, you know, twice a week or 4 times a month or whatever, if that's part of, why don't we do once a month and get the support of the automation and digitalization. And for the startup, I think we're so excited as entrepreneurs and getting, you know, going from a 9-to-5 job to a, you know, an independence, right? But what I've realized is, being an entrepreneur myself, is you go from a 9-to-5 job to a 24.
Oh, exactly, yeah.
So be ready, right? Because don't be in this, you know, mirage that you're going to, you know, be sitting on the beach, you know, sipping whatever, and looking, you know, and working from the beach, right? It's not going to happen. I'm telling you now. Okay, you're going to put a lot of hours, a lot of work, so be prepared. The second thing is you need to create, most importantly, is a business plan. What I've seen why so many businesses fail, whether we're talking medical, pharma, or, you know, selling tacos, whatever, is that people get so excited, they jump right in, get the advertising, and see that person is like, where do I advertise? How do I get clients? No, you have to create what is important as any business, which is the business plan. And that's why a lot of businesses fail within the first 5 years. And it's a really, really heartbreaking statistics, and we're talking about 95%. Only the very few succeed. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but I'm just letting you know, be aware that you need to do your diligence. I know, like looking at numbers, right? But you need to look at the numbers. I learned it the hard way. You need to look at the business plan. You need to create the structure, the framework, the mission, the vision. A lot of people think, like I said, mission and vision is about the company, what they want to help everybody and anybody, you know, and it's not like that. You have to do your diligence, who you're serving, what is the communication, what is the intention. That's a new word for business, right? A lot of people don't think intention is something that can be included in a business, but intention is very critical. Picking up the phone has an intention. Answering your WhatsApp has an intention. Everything, including your business, including your business plan, creates the intention. What is the intention of the company? What is the intention of the employees? What is the intention of the products and the services, right? And then, of course, all these intentions have to be aligned, and that's how you don't have to work so hard to go out to get clients. They come to you because they resonate with your intention, they resonate with your values, they resonate with your principles, and then, of course, having a presence, of course, on social media, having that omni-channel conversation with physicians and doctors, which comes into place. But it's not the advertising, it's not the social media, it's not the logo, what we get so excited, the brand colors and all that. Really, really, if you want to succeed, you have to do the diligence and create your business plan, your intention, mission, and vision.
Exactly, exactly. And over here, I would like also to share some thoughts of mine and some experience of mine, because like when it goes about digital instruments, this is just an instrument. Like we used to call each other through the phone, and then right now we are using WhatsApp. Previously, like 50 years ago, we didn't have the phone in our houses, and when we wanted to go for a walk with friends of ours, we just went to their houses, right?
Yes.
But now the same business process is being done by the technologies.
Yes.
And when it goes about startups, so I would also say that there is an important stage of every single startup is customer development stage.
Absolutely.
And
the journey, yes.
Like when the concepts are not proven yet, so there is nothing to be automized. Right. So you remember that film with Leonardo DiCaprio, like pick up the phone and make a call, or make a visit. So when we are speaking about digitalization, this is about the scaling stage already, right? Yeah. Okay.
So if I mention one more thing, so you know, let's look at Mark Zuckerberg, right? Very smart young man. So this is the perfect example to show you guys. He understands his clients. He understands his audience, right? And he goes where the audience is. If this I could give as an example, as a takeaway, really, really golden nugget for everyone. So he's going on WhatsApp because he knows where his audience is going. He's also bought Instagram. He also is going where people, he's creating apps on iPhones because he sees the ideal audience is on the iPhone, not, sorry, Android. I'm not meaning to, but I'm just giving you examples.
You're not making promotions.
No, Samsung users, please forgive me. No, nothing like that. But the point of the matter is you have to go, you have to understand the language, the person who you are serving so well that you will go where they are, right? And if you are creating a brand, you're creating a presence, there's automatically, they will also follow you and use your products and your services. So this, I think, was ideal to mention Mark, hi Mark, and say, you know, this is how smart, you know, people in the industry, in whatever industry, by the way, the principles, the ideas work, and if they work, they could be used in any industry, including the pharma industry as well.
Okay, one more question, and it leads to just what you have said.
Yeah.
So when it goes about all these connections, so doctors, and they are so difficult to be reached through digital instruments. So shall this happen one day? And if you think it will happen, so give us your forecast when it can happen, so that we can easily use the digital communication instruments in collaboration with them.
So I'm sorry to say this, but even doctors, look, humans are humans no matter what they do for a living, right? So if the transformation is happening, they're going to be left behind. Even doctors, they're not above this digital transformation. So they also understand, but I've seen, I don't know where they're looking, but I've seen many, many doctors doing podcasts on Facebook, doing Facebook Lives, giving value, giving the diets if you have diabetes. You know, it's all about creating that connection. And when the patient sees the doctor out there, it's communicating with their ideal patients, giving the value that they're looking for, of course they're going to have those patients. Of course they're going to be busy. Of course they're going to have the loyalty to that doctor. So you have to see where they're present. If the doctor's on LinkedIn, you be on LinkedIn, right? If the doctor's on Facebook, because what they're doing, these physicians, if they have a proper mission, vision, value, principles, intention that we've been talking about, they're going to go where their clients, where their patients are. And of course, you being the medical representative, follow where that omni-channel conversation is happening, whether it be communities, okay? So what I'm trying to say, don't just focus on the physician, focus on the patient, focus on the community that patient is with, right? We talked about a little while ago about the diabetes patient being on the diabetes community, right? Be part of that community, from that community, you know, be able to have, you know, they have these advertisements on the side of the communities on Facebook, right? Be having that presence there, right? Because they're already out there, the patient is already out there, and of course the physician is trying to give value to those patients. So like I said, it's an ecosystem with the patient being at the center. So don't just focus on the physician as the end-all, be-all of creating the promotions or the prescriptions filling and all that. That's kind of like the old thinking. Now we need to be having these omni-channel presence where the physicians and the patients are, and making it a personalized journey that would resonate. Look, the patient is going to say yes or no to the medication, right? They're going to be they're actually your end user, not your physician. So if the patient is feeling comfortable, convinced of your product and services, they're going to go to their physician and say, I want this, right? Even sometimes I've seen it from the pharmacy point of view. They don't, if they have to pay for it out of pocket and they feel so strongly, they will not, you know, take the insurance pathways. Like let's say if third-party insurance, they don't pay this particular medication, they pay the generic, for example, and your brand resonated with the patient, they're going to say, I'll pay the difference, or I'll pay it out of pocket. That's how strongly and convinced and feeling, especially with people's health. If they're suffering, if they're not feeling well, that's what they want, is the relief and the outcome and the result. So they're going to be advocates for your product, advocates for your medication, and of course, advocates for the prescription to be filled the way they want, and they will have a say with the physician as well.
Thank you, thank you. And you know what I can see from the chat right now, so we are really engaged with our audience.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for your questions, and feel free to ask all the questions in our chat. And I can feel how our audience is super amazed with your report. And here's a couple of more questions. Sure. And after those questions, I would suggest to move forward, because we're also in timing. So. The first question is, what would you say are the digital description moves done in the pharma market so far, or not?
Digital description.
Digital description. I'm not sure if this digital description is divided to the description of medications when we are promoting the medication, or maybe this is about engagement digital description for the patient usage for prescription. So let's speak about both topics.
Okay, so this comes into now the legality. Okay, so I don't know who the question is coming from, but we cannot exclude the legalities, the ministry's laws and regulations. I don't want anybody to get in trouble and say, Dr. Hanan said, you know. No, you have to follow the rules and the regulations of your country, of your state, and you make sure you abide by those rules. So in Dubai, for example, there is an authority for advertising that you need to present an application. They need to review, because there's certain words, there's certain pictures, there's certain language, there's certain descriptions, and that you can't advertise certain clinical guarantee results for certain products. So all those guidelines you need to abide by when creating the advertising on Facebook or social media or whatever it may be. So with the description, I'm going to have to say, refer to your legal authorities, if you will, of what their restrictions are, what their guidelines are for that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And the last question for this session, for this particular session, goes, so one of our attendees just asked us to go a little bit further and out from these digital promotional tools, but to go to different processes where the revolution can also happen. For example, to drug manufacturers and treatment strategies, and using the artificial intelligence, all the topics divided to artificial intelligence is always on the way, and it's trendsetters.
It's not on the way.
How we can use this?
Yeah, so look, Bill Gates, hi, Bill. So he on that as well. He sees this huge ecosystem digitalization in the healthcare. He wants to have piece of the pie, if you will. So he's creating the iPhones, the watches, the applications. IBM is actually one of them as well. So they're already doing it happening, and this is actually the competitors at this point. And it's not like it's going to happen, it's already happened. There's so many, the iWatch, the phone is actually, so it could have medical reports, it could have a lot of data, you could get your prescriptions, everything is on this, the watch, right? So it's here, it's now. We need to be able to be flexible, agile, and be able to not exactly just accept it, but actually be part of the transformation. And this is actually what the Digital Pharma platform and the summit is all about, is educating everyone. You need to be in the game, not on the stand, right? You need to be involved. You get on the court, you play the game instead of being one of the watchers and everything's just happening in front of you, right? So they're here, they're now. It's your competitors. The robotics is of course. AI is, of course, it's here. It's not something in the future or anything. It's here and now. If you just look at McKinsey & Company, all the information is. They do a lot of this understanding research, and giving you the tools as well, where everything is going, where the transformation is happening, and you need to get on the court and play the game rather than in the stand line and just watch everything happening and then everything just passing you by.
Like, as it said in Lewis Carroll novel, Alice in Wonderland, so to move somewhere, like you need to run fast. If you want to be the first one, you need to be the fastest, like the highest speed you need to achieve.
Yeah, and it's exponential. Nothing is stopping for us, right? Everything's just happening if you want it or not, if you want to be flexible or not, agile or not. And I think the pandemic taught us this huge, huge lesson that we need to be involved in our health, make the educational decision, research, do our diligence to take control over our health and well-being. And these are the new evolved consumers and patients that you should look at, not the ones that are going to go to their doctor, not ask questions. The doctor should say, take this, you'll be okay. Don't ask questions. No, 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 no. That's long gone. Patients are more educated, I don't care where you are, and they're going to do their diligence to understand and take control over their health and well-being.
Super, super. Dr. Hanan, thank you so much for
joining today.
Yeah, we're super happy, and like, you know, there are still so many questions in the chat, and I do promise that we will forward all the questions to Dr. Hanan. We will ask her to join the chat and to reply directly to you. So our conference, even though we are spread everywhere from the MENA region and we are based here in Dubai, and I understand that there are so many participants from Egypt, from Morocco, from Algeria, from Saudi Arabia, from Oman, from Jordan. And over here, like, even though we are in different places, I can feel your warmth, and I can feel those vibes of the conference. So we will definitely, I do promise that we will forward all the questions to you. And
my pleasure.
So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It was a great pleasure of ours to have you over here in our stage today.
Great job, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.